If you can be that, then doors open up. My husband and I, we had to make a big decision a couple of years ago not to write or say anything about political things. I learned that from Corrie ten Boom, because Corrie had her heart like her dad. She had a love for a neighborhood, for the people. She got to know people. She could have never done the work that she was doing during the war if she had not been the person that was growing up in Corrie ten Boom, in Father ten Boom's home. In the ten Boom family, every prayer before and after the meal were always ended, Lord, come soon. Lord Jesus, Maranatha. And the other prayer was, and Lord, be with the Jewish people. Be in a country where there's so many needs. Be with the brokenhearted. Be with the mommy and daddies who lost their children and their parents. Corrie ten Boom grew up with a father with a heart of gold. He was ready for what God was preparing for him. Father ten Boom would always have Bible studies in his house. And it didn't matter what your faith was, but he looked and saw after it that you would get to know that old book, the New and the Old Testament, and taught everyone what God was doing. That's the woman I worked with. Corrie ten Boom's father was an example for our grandfathers who are here and for grandmothers. Because Corrie's father was a man with his heart that was with his children. I loved always the story that Corrie would tell. She said, my papa came always every night in that old house. Many of you have read The Hiding Place, have seen the film The Hiding Place, in that old house with that staircase. I always have to be very careful when we bought that house back, while I was working with Corrie, and made The Hiding Place, the Bayet, Corrie ten Boom's house, a wonderful place as a museum. So if you ever go to Holland, to the Netherlands, go to Haarlem and go and see The Hiding Place. There's even the place upstairs on the 3rd floor where the people were hidden, right behind Corrie where she was sleeping. Oh, it's such a long story, but I can make it shorter, because it takes sometimes a couple of sentences for you to understand that if your life is dedicated to a God who's looking after you, then you can be used everywhere in the world. And that's what Corrie ten Boom learned. Corrie ten Boom's father, he came every night to say goodnight to his children. And you know what? He knelt beside their bed and just make a picture of this wonderful watchmaker with his long beard. He really looked very Jewish, but he wasn't. I think he maybe wanted to be one, but he was there. And you know what? He would, after they talked, and Corrie would say, Daddy, I am so afraid to be a martyr. Why, Corrie? Well, remember you had the missionaries from a country and people had been killed for their faith. And Daddy, I am not ready for that. Daddy, I am so afraid to be a martyr. And then Father ten Boom, he would put his wonderful watchmaker hands over her little face, and he would pray for her. And he would pray that she would not be afraid, but that God would encourage her to always be what she needed to be. And Corrie, whenever you have to suffer for Jesus, he will be there with you. He has promised us that.